It's Christmas morning, and I wake up in a panic. I've forgotten to do something really important for one of our kids. Minutes later, while our sons are still asleep, thank goodness they're teenagers and they sleep late even on Christmas, and my husband is groggily filling the stockings, I'm in my office on my laptop, desperately Googling the name of our son Teddy's birth mother. Why had I left this to the last minute? Teddy is 16 and recently has been asking questions about his birth history. He knows that his birth mother, who herself had been 16 at the time, had been too young to raise him. But it's as though he's starting to feel kind of a gap in his identity. Over dinner a month or so ago, I offered to do some research so that when he was ready, he might have a way to reach out. And rather than make a general promise, I said I would try to have information for him by Christmas. Amidst all the busyness, this had completely slipped my mind. And now I'm realizing it's going to be a lot harder than I had thought. The adoption agency we used went out of business, and they had been our only conduit for communication and connection. We had met his birth mother and her family ahead of time, and we had been at the hospital when Teddy was born, but ours was what was called a partially open adoption, meaning we knew her full name, but she only knew us as Betsy and Andrew from Boston. Each year, we would send a letter and photos to the agency, and they would forward them on to his birth mother, and she would often send letters to them that they would send to us. The letters. Yes, they had stopped when the agency closed, but we still had a bunch of them up until Teddy was about age 10. An adoption counselor had suggested we put them away until he was older. I rushed down to the basement, and there, high up on a shelf, is a box marked Save. I pull it down, my heart's racing, I flip through all the folders, and there they are. I run upstairs and show my husband, and together, we write out a cover note explaining what these are. We wrap the cover note in the folder of letters and Christmas paper and tuck it under the tree. It's not contact information, but it is something, and I feel like it'll buy us some time to do the sleuthing that I had promised. After the other presents had been opened, we hand this gift to Teddy, and he slowly unwraps it and silently reads our note. He looks a little confused at first, but then as though it's dawning on him what these are, he asks if he can go upstairs and read the letters there. A little while later, I stand at his bedroom door, and I see that he has spread the letters out in a big arc on his floor in order of dates. They're all neatly written on school notebook paper, many with colorful hearts and rainbows. It was clear that a lot of love and care had gone into them. I take in this scene of Teddy absorbing all that's in the letters, and since my older son and husband are absorbed in exploring their new gifts, I decide to go back to my laptop and continue searching. The problem is, she has a fairly common name, and there are so many results all over the country. Eventually, Teddy comes into the office, and I show him all the results, and he says, wait a minute. In some of the letters, she talks about a person she's dating. Maybe they got married. I think she mentions his name, and he hurries from the room. He comes back with one of the letters, stands beside me as I open up the Facebook search bar. I type in her first name, the second name that we know, and this possible third name, and hit enter. One result, just one. I click on the name. Many people have private Facebook profiles where you can't see much at all. Not her. Everything was visible. Lots of posts, beautiful pictures of her husband and young children, including a boy who looks a lot like Teddy. Deep breaths, tears in my eyes. That's her, Teddy. What would you like to do? Let's send her a message, he says. So I open up the chat box and I start typing. Sorry for this out-of-the-blue message. Teddy's been asking about his birth history, and lo and behold, we found you. We gave him all the letters that you had sent and saw your married name. Sorry if this is creepy. He is an amazing young man. The adoption agency closed, which you probably already know, so we haven't had a way of writing to you. We hope you are well, and we wish you a very Merry Christmas. And I signed all four of our names, my husband's, our older son's, Teddy's, and mine. I look at Teddy for confirmation. Should we send it? Yes, he nods. But what if she wants you back? Mom, "You're my mom," like I've said something crazy. So I hit send. I know that at age 16, he can't legally be taken from us, but there is this connection, a biological connection that they share that I don't have with him. All afternoon and evening, we wait for a response. That night, when I say goodnight to Teddy, I hold him tight, wondering if I've made a huge mistake. If she doesn't respond, maybe he'll feel rejected twice by his birth mother. And then I start worrying about how she might feel getting this out of the blue message. Maybe she hadn't told her husband and children about the adoption. Maybe it was something that she had tried to put behind her, and I was opening up something really painful. I should have given more thought before sending that message. I get more and more anxious thinking about the maybes, the shouldas, the shouldn't haves. The next morning, still no response. Then later, we're in the car, and I hear that Facebook alert. "Teddy, a message." It's a long message that begins with, "Oh my, I am so overjoyed that you found me." She wrote how heartbreaking it had been getting her letters returned from the closed agency, and that she was starting to lose hope of ever connecting with us again. There is so much love for Teddy in her message. Several times she wrote, "You have no idea how much this means to me." And I don't know if she realizes how much her words mean to me and, of course, to Teddy. The next few days, we pore over her Facebook posts, getting to know her life, her family, her spirit. We learn that she has a charm bracelet with each of her children's names, including Teddy's. There's a new calmness and confidence that I see in Teddy. She was the one person who could help him understand his birth story, who could fill in that gap he was feeling. It's as though he now knows a love that was unseen, but still so strong. This feels to me like one more gift, one more precious gift she's given our son.